Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, where we carry the largest selection of wood flowers in the United States. Welcome back to another tutorial, and this tutorial is going to be super in-depth and very, very spooky, hopefully. Welcome back to another tutorial, and yes, as I mentioned just a second ago, this tutorial is going to be quite a few different steps. We're going to do a whole bunch of things to make this questionably lovely piece that I found at the thrift store into a very magical, spooky type of piece. There's going to be apples involved, there's going to be puffy paint involved, there's going to be a ton of different fillers, as well as we're going to spookify some Sola wood flowers, of course. I'm really excited. This particular piece is meant to go into, I have this whole spooky kind of shrine going on in my dining room, and I kind of want that piece to go in there, hopefully, otherwise for it to live in my living room. We'll see. It'll just depend on if it goes with the shrine or not. Super, super excited. One thing I want to say, and I'll probably say this a couple times, there will be lots of fall tutorials coming as well, but Halloween holds a very near and dear place in my heart. And so we're gonna do a lot of spooky tutorials as well, or what I would consider spooky. They're not super spooky, but we're gonna do a lot of more spooky kind of stuff. If that's not your jam, I completely understand. That's fine. And know that fall crafting will be coming, but we're gonna get some spooky stuff in now so you guys can have some time to make those things, to enjoy them through Halloween if you choose to. Okay, I think that's all of that. All of that. All right, let's jump into it. I'm so excited, but this is gonna be a lengthy kind of project for me because there's lots of steps, so we gotta get going. I gotta stop talking, so let's do this. Now, if you've watched a couple of our tutorials in the past, I typically break down all of the supplies that are gonna be needed and then go through the project, but this is all, there's a lot going on. So we're gonna break it down more so in like bite-sized chunks. The first supply that we're gonna need, I am going to make the creepy poisoned apples a la the dude with the ears from the girl that fell asleep and woke up with a whole bunch of little men staring at her. I don't know if there's copyrights and stuff involved, so we'll just tiptoe around it, but I think you'll know what I'm talking about. These are going to be apples that are less desirable to eat, and to get that to happen, we're gonna use some puffy paint. I did get a glow-in-the-dark one, and I think that's the one I'm going to use, but I also grabbed purple, just in case. We might do some of those too. And there's all sorts of other ways to do this, but because these are so tiny, I think the puffy paint's gonna work better. I will give you my opinion though at the end of this part of the project because I've never done this before. So I'll let you know if I found it easy or not. I'm gonna base my prep off of what I've done before with hot glue and paint. And if you wanna see that, it might be up on TikTok by this point, or not. It's gonna be on TikTok at some point of a bigger apples to make them look like poisoned apples. All right, let's get to it. We're gonna bring you down because this is fiddly work. Poisoned apple. Now we're gonna let this sit and dry per the Puffy Paint. Let dry for 4 hours. Hence this project's gonna take forever. So I'm going to work on the rest of these and then we'll get to creating the rest of the arrangement. Apples are going in last though. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some floral foam and just start stacking them in there as we're done and waiting for them to dry. As I start making more of these, I find that it's better to make a much bigger space for the eyes and nose because it starts, especially because I'm drying them standing up, the puffy paint starts to like go down the piece. And if you don't have enough of a hole kind of in there, it's gonna cover everything up. And then you just have a drippy kind of caramel apple look. And we definitely wanna keep those eyes and nose in here. So I went much wider with this. And then I fill in that area as best I can. And then we get messy on the sides. I'm much more loose with this now, the more I've done them. So we're just dripping all the way through. Not a lot of rhyme or reason, because gravity's gonna help us too. But this gets us started. And then it's much easier to go through too, and you got a lot more done real quick. And then up here, I'm trying not to put too much on the top so that we don't have so much drippage that it covers the eyes. But you definitely want to get up there too. I'm gonna fill that in. But being messy is okay. It's definitely okay. I'm gonna fill in, move some stuff around here. I'm not worried too of like I'm still using a Sharpie to give me some guidelines. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, or you can use something else that doesn't show through so much, but I'm fine with it showing if it does show. So we're gonna let these all dry and we'll get on to the next part. All right, so the next part is we're gonna fill this in with a few more pieces of greenery. In particular, I have some stuff from my stash that I know we're gonna spray paint this black in a minute. I know these pop really well with that black spray paint. I'm also having some of our seeded eucalyptus. We're gonna add that in there. Now you don't have to fill this in. I think this one's actually pretty full already, but I'm gonna add just a couple more pieces of texture. Also, this piece has so much dust on it, but I'm gonna keep it that way. I'm not gonna clean it off because then when we spray paint it, and I think I might put some of those cobwebs in there too, it's going to give it even a more spooky effect. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Foam is legit. It's hard to get through, but it's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna grab a little bamboo skewer, kind of create a pilot hole. And then I'm gonna slide my piece in there. There we go. Feel good about that. Now I do also have this preserved filler. I'm gonna put that in afterwards. So for right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go spray paint this black and then we'll come back. All right, as we wait for the spray paint to dry and our creepy apples to dry, the next step, we're going to spookify some flowers. So I am going to take some already dyed Sola wood flowers. I'm gonna do purple and red because I really like these colors especially with this technique, Now, I'm going to be using an airbrush, but you can absolutely use spray paint for this. The reason why I like to use an airbrush is there's a little bit more control, and I can lightly dust a flower so that the color is still peeking through, but have that kind of darkened up vibe. Whereas with spray paint, there is a chance that you're just gonna completely make it completely black and nothing else. And I'm trying to stay away from that. So for the airbrush, typically you do definitely want something that's gonna catch your spray off, a little booth, a cardboard box, something else. I even have a airbrush spray area in the studio, but there's too much stuff in front of it and I don't feel like tearing it all apart. So do as I say, not as I do in this particular part. The paint I'm gonna be using, I absolutely love Golden's High Flow paint with an airbrush, but you can also take craft acrylic paint. I would not suggest using latex, but that's just my personal preference. If you wanna give it a go, you can try it. But I use craft acrylic paint mixed with airbrush medium. It's kind of a 50-50 mix. It kind of just looks like milk is the best way to describe it. Once you do it a couple of times, you'll get a good idea. But that basically thins out the paint enough so you still have a beautiful opaque, rich color, but it thins it enough so it can go through the air gun and through the little needle. High Flow already has super high pigments with that it's a runny consistency, so it goes through very easily. So I really enjoy High Flow, but it is on the higher side for an art supply cost. I'm not sure which airbrush this is. I just grabbed one out of my stack, and airbrushes can be finicky. If you're gonna go into this realm, it's a lot of fun, but it also can be frustrating beyond belief. You want to make sure you clean your airbrush gun really, really well in between sessions so that it lasts for a long time. They get jammed up very easily. All right, enough of me talking about airbrushes. If you're interested in learning more about the airbrushes though, we do have a couple different tutorials that are earlier on. You should probably do a newer one, but it'll get you started in that journey. And so I'm just gonna I'm not even turn on a music because the air compressor is a little loud, but we're gonna just do a whole bunch of this. So there you go. Okay, now that that's done, I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'm gonna clean out my airbrush. And let's give you a little taste of the spooky flowers that we just created. So there are our spooky flowers. So as soon as the vase is dry, which it should be in just a few minutes, we'll pop in the flowers and then we'll add in some more filler and fun stuff. And once the apples are fully dry, which I might wait till tomorrow to do that, we're gonna add the apples in for the finishing touches. But for right now, I gotta go wash my hands. All right, my spooky lovelies, here is the piece now all spookified. I'll kind of bring it up a little bit closer so you can see there's still color popping through, but it's definitely darkened up quite a bit. Then what we're gonna do, now because the foam in here is so hard to get through, I think I'm just gonna set these in here. I wouldn't suggest doing that if you were selling the piece for obvious reasons, but this is just going in my house, so it's okay. So I'm gonna grab a couple of these, and I'm gonna use bigger stems, I think. And I'm gonna try to get some of it to go in the foam, maybe, if I can. Or just make sure it's leaning up against other leaves. All right, now we've got a little bit of color added in there. My flowers are dry. That's the one amazing thing about, not the only one, but one of the nice things about airbrushing is they dry super quick. So we can already start working on the arrangement. And then we wait for the apples to fully dry. So probably tomorrow, just to be on the safe side. I'm gonna start with my red flowers. I don't know that it matters, but I am gonna kind of color block. And I think I'm gonna hold on to the other three until we get some more purple in there so I can see where there's flowers that are needed. The lilies I'm gonna make a triangle out of. And I'll show you what I mean at that in just a second. You can see the lilies, they're in a triangle shape. So they're near each other, but they're 1, 2, 3. Make a nice little triangle. Since they're kind of the star, in my mind, of this whole piece. They take up the most space. They give the biggest punch of interest. These spooky arrangements too are great for if you have, say, a flower that the petals were torn and you set it aside going, maybe someday I'll be able to use it in something. This would be a type of project that it's perfect to use up those kind of flowers because it just adds to the whole dark vibe of this whole piece, I think. And I do want to pay attention to everything around. We're going to do a 360 type arrangement so that, say I decide to put it on my dining room table, no matter which direction we're looking, there's something fun and interesting for everybody to look at. And there's some flowers as well. I am trying to grab some of the flowers that I have a little bit more, like this one, it's much, the darker is on the end petals. There's some light coming through in the center. And I'm gonna get that more deeper into my piece to kind of draw your eyes in. Okay, so there is our bouquet of spooky, beautiful flowers. Now we just need to wait for the apples to fully dry and we'll get those in here. All right, guys, I'm back. We took a little break and I'm looking like a hot mess today, but it's fine. It's cold, it's rainy, you know, things happen. So we, I I don't really want to even show you these. The glow in the dark puffy paint did not work how I expected. And I didn't do a second coat because I'm just worried. So this totally looked like something completely inappropriate. But here they are. So there's a couple things I learned from the glow in the dark. If you put too much on and you're setting them upright to dry, it's going to start dripping. And when it drips, it's gonna cover the eyes completely. Like you can kind of see that when I tried to clean it up, but it just dripped all the way down. Same with this one. And so after that, I realized, okay, I need to make a much bigger eye space so that if it does drip down, it's not going to cover all of the eye space. Now the purple stuff, however, worked lovely. Completely opaque, went right through. So we're gonna use those in this piece. I'm not gonna even put the glow in the dark ones in for right now. But here are our little spooky poison apples. Turned out cute enough. I will deal with these later. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some like neon green, possibly, or I'll do another coat of the glow in the dark, but not today. Not today. So we're gonna add these in here to finish off this lovely piece. And remember, I had that one gaping hole over there, so I get that in there. And I definitely want the full face to be seen, so I'm positioning it so that I can. And they're on wires, so we can bend it a little bit. Okay, perfect. And we'll get one kind of hanging out back there. There we go. Spooky apples are in. This piece is done. Oh my gosh, you never know when you're crafting what's gonna happen. Sometimes things just don't go according to plan, and lesson learned. So the glow in the dark is fun, but needs a little bit more finessing to make it look the way you want it to. So, all right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to like the video and send us a little comment. If you like, that always helps. And even better, if you'd like, why don't you subscribe and ring that bell to find out each time we post another video. If you're new around here and want to find out about the 150 style Sola wood flowers along with craft supplies and greenery, go to ohyourlovely.com. But before you do, let me give you something. Use the code YouTube30 to get 30% off your first order. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go maybe grab a blanket. I'm still gonna be in the studio working, but I feel like it's blanket time and some sort of hot beverage time, even though we'll be back in the 80s in a couple of days. But for right now, I'm gonna fully enjoy the comfy, cozy fall day and scoot out of here. And I promise there will be some fall tutorials coming up. We might have a couple more spooky ones, but there are more fall ones on the way as well. All right, you guys, we'll see you super soon. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, and you, my friends, are absolutely lovely. Bye, guys.